Welcome back. We are the Mail-In Podcast. Sorry for the hiatus. Hiatus?
Mm-hmm.
Week-long hiatus. I'm your host, Brett Merriman. To my right, the lovely, the cheekboned up, I guess is what I was trying to go for there, with our new camera setup. Thank you, Randy.
I'm gonna have to start getting ready in the morning.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think I'm ready for this high def.
We're on the high def journey now.
Yeah.
Sally. We're in the we're in the Marvel verse or whatever. We're in the Spider Verse. We're in the high def verse now. By the way, that's Sally deFries, my lovely co-host. Hello, Sally.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I was not. Will came home and told me on Monday. He was like, "We got new cameras, and they show everything."
Well, yeah.
So we got to start like pre-film masking, so that I get rid of these bags under my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Snatch my jaw up, you know.
How do you snatch your jaw up?
Well, first you like do a facial massage. You like
is it a gua sha?
Yeah, drainage your face. But then they have these like chin strap masks that help get rid of the bloat under your face.
Ah, I see. For men, we just grow beards to do that.
Yeah, it's not very fair.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a pre-show routine. We need to come in here like 4 a.m. like the morning news shows do or whatever.
Yeah, Kelly, we may have to y'all may need to hire a makeup artist and start having somebody just touch you up.
I would totally wear makeup for the mail-in.
Yeah,
especially
I mean these lights aren't super forgiving is the problem. So like, it's not like soft mood lighting. It's like,
wouldn't that be nice if it was like the sunset light, just kind of golden hour all the time? Can we
fix
do that,
Randy?
Yeah, instead of like the industrial. I feel like I'm in. Oh, the lights are off.
Does that look worse on screen now? Okay.
He's going to turn them back on without telling us. And it's going to be like,
there
it is.
Okay.
Yep. Instead, I feel like I'm at a hockey rink. It's just like blinding white light. Yeah, we'll have to do once the mail-in is a like fledgling 1,000-person company, and we're still doing the mail-in at 8 in the morning on Wednesdays, we'll have to have a makeup artist.
I think that's when we also transition to like having white wine in the morning. Like, I
mean, twist my arm.
Like Hoda and Jenna.
Yeah, we should really go all in like the morning television people.
Yeah.
Like
that I think
Kelly
is my ideal job.
Is it Kelly and Ryan still?
So Ryan's leaving.
What?
And her husband is taking over. Excuse me, sorry.
Who's her husband?
Is it Mark Consuelos? Is that his name?
Yeah. Kelly Ripa husband. Mark Consuelos. Well done.
I'm pretty sure that Ryan Seacrest is leaving and her husband's taking over.
No shit. I feel like that was a long lasting.
And I understand that as somebody on a morning show, you have like a really shitty schedule. I mean, they do like wake up at like 3 in the morning.
Oh, it's insane.
But
not
that's
my life.
What Hoda and Jenna do is my dream job. Like sitting around, like shooting the shit in New York, having a glass of white wine, talking to like authors or chefs or whatever. I mean, that's great. You know what I do instead? I wake up at 6 and walk into lights that are almost less forgiving than this into an OR. It's like blinding.
That's like cold.
And it's freezing cold.
Yeah. Oy.
No one wants my opinion about anything. no one cares about what I have to say.
Maybe there's a lane there. It's like just live surgery. People would watch live surgeries for sure because they're crazy like that.
Oh yeah.
And you just shoot the shit. You talk about current events.
Well, we do. I think I've talked about this before. We do a lot of robotic surgeries.
Beep bop, boop bop. So does Randy.
You've seen they did surgery on a grape thing.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
What's it called? Not Damascus. The Da Vinci.
The Da Vinci.
The little plier.
And so once the Da Vinci's like hooked up, they have to. It goes dark because then they have to like be able to see the robot, like see the screens and stuff. So I'm literally just like sitting in a dark hole. No one cares.
You're in a bunker.
Yeah. So I need to figure out a way to make surgery more about me.
Right.
Less about the patient.
Is that why you're a big fan of the morning show, right? On Apple TV Plus?
We used to watch it. We kind of stopped.
Well, there's only 2 seasons, I think. So
yeah, we started the second season, I think like 1 episode in, and we just didn't get into it. Will and I have also realized that we have watched so much TV. We were talking about something the other day, and I was like, that show we watched, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. And I was like, it's the guy. I was like, Dave Franco's in it. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, it's the show. And I literally was trying to explain it to him, could not remember what it was called. We finally figured it out.
Wow.
I can't remember the name now. And like, that was just a one-off show that we watched for like 2 days. And then we're like, I don't care about this anymore.
So you're watching so much TV, you're forgetting about TV.
Yeah.
See, I famously don't watch any shows unless they're like my top 3. Succession, Billions, Morning Show, and For All Mankind. If there's not a new episode of one of those. Oh, Outer Banks too. I watched the season 3 in 2 days. So
I also gave up on season 2 of Outer Banks. I got like a couple episodes in and I was like,
Season 1's the GOAT. I mean, it's just like it's national. I mean, you like National Treasure so much that I'm surprised this didn't pique your interest.
They call me when they add Nick Cage to Outer Banks cast. Okay.
Also, the National Treasure show doesn't have Nick Cage in it, right?
No. I tried to get Will to watch that.
Yeah.
I heard it's kind of chuggy though.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
so are the movies. I love the movies though.
Right. Absolutely. But I think give Outer Banks, if you're like really starving for something to watch, give season 2 a chance just because season 3 is really good.
Okay.
Season 1, the best. Season 3, close second. Season 2 is like, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Good to know.
you want to answer
Can
some
I just
questions?
dive into season 3 without watching season 2?
Probably depends on when you stopped watching in season 2.
Okay.
Because they're like, season 3 just ends up being a whole new search for something totally different.
Okay. Let's answer some questions.
Yeah, we can do some questions now. If you want to ask us some questions, hit the hotline number 888-362-6245. Or you can write in at the link in the Twitter bio at Mail-In Podcast. Hit up the Wash Media Store. Hit up the YouTube to see our lovely high-definition badge under our eyes. YouTube.com/Mail-In Podcast. Lastly, on the announcement front, this Friday, so this will be tomorrow when you're listening, if you're in the Austin, Texas area, come on down. Half Step on Rainy Street. We're doing South by Southwashed from 3 to 5. Meet up. I don't know if this has been said before, but free beer.
Wow, free beer?
Free beer. Free beer. You heard that, Randy? Hey, Randy, you don't?
I think it's as supplies last. But,
yeah, it's free beer to a point.
Just put that caveat, Mr.
Yeah. If in 2 hours we are, if we're getting to that point, then we're having a good time.
I'll be there, and I'll make this promise. I will try to be there on time.
I would really hope so. Randy's not a big punctual guy, unless it's like something very important, like a tea time. But if it's just like, hey, we're going to meet down on West 6th at like 6 o'clock, don't expect Randy until like 7:15.
Yeah, I will maybe be there.
You're a hard maybe. Okay.
I'm actually like less of a hard maybe.
Okay.
Soft maybe. Well, because I work till 5.
Fair.
So unless the surgery schedule's real light in the afternoon,
yeah,
I will be not there.
You
probably.
have a job where you help save lives, and we have a job where we
save lives through podcasting.
You know what? I'd love to be able to look at it like that. Anyway, let's dive in, Sally. Hey, guys. Long-time listener, first-time writer. Well, thank you for writing in. This is more of a Sally question. Sorry, Brett. That's okay. I just found out I am pregnant with my first child. Something I admire about you, Sally, other than all your awesome qualities, is that you seem to balance having your life as a mom, a wife, and a friend really well without appearing to have, quote, given up things in your life. How have you found this balance, and how would you recommend promoting it for this mom to be? I know Instagram is the highlight reel / editorial of everyone's life, but I admire that you seem to mesh your roles very well, like travel, dinners, etc. Thank you. Sally, how are you just such a fucking incredible person?
Wow. There isn't a specific recipe. Okay, this girl's right. Instagram is a highlight reel. But a couple things go into us continuing our life post child. So number one is when you have friends that have kids, it makes it a lot easier to continue your social life because those people are in the same situation as you. So we were probably on the later side of friends having kids, at least in terms of my friends that live near us. We're probably on the early side of Will's friends, but we don't see all those people all the time.
Tube socks?
Tube socks. So being in Austin, like it's easier to plan stuff like that because either you're on the same page. So you're like, if you have friends who have kids, if we're bringing the kids, we're going to dinner at 5. There's no later than that because we really are going to like lose steam quickly. The good news is even our friends who don't have kids are usually down to do that too. If we're like, hey, we're going to go to Matt's at 5 on Friday because Matt's famously is impossible to sit down at before 2 hours if you go past like 6:15 on Friday.
And lately it's been a nightmare.
There's like at Matt's and Houston has the same thing at El Tiempo. You have like a window. It's like 5 to 5:15. If you get there, there's no one there. And then at 5:15, it's like, bam, everyone's there. So it's easy to convince people to go with you if you're like, hey, we're going to like have big group dinner. Obviously, we're hitting the big Mexican food restaurant that doesn't need reservations, but we have to go at this time. And if we go any later, no one's sitting down till 9. So number one, do stuff with your friends who have kids. Same thing, like we have date night tomorrow night with one of our couple friends. They're about to have their 3rd kid.
Ooh.
And we also know like, okay, we're getting a babysitter. Like it's easy to plan shit with them because they always have a babysitter on Thursday night. And we're doing dinner at 8. So the kid goes down, babysitter comes. We don't have to like worry about it.
I think there's sort of a point in that you're kind of, you underlaid is that like maybe you have a night that's consistent.
Right.
Where it's like, hey, Thursday's our friend date babysitter. Like our babysitter's basically on retainer.
Right.
For every Thursday night.
I mean, that's how the friends we're going with tomorrow night, aka tonight, if you're listening on Thursday, literally have their babysitter come every Thursday.
That's awesome.
No matter what. Idea. We don't do that, although we have tried to do that in the past. It's just, I don't always want to go out on a Thursday, you know? So
it's the best day to drink.
Yeah. So that's another way to like keep an active social life. And then the other thing is, I think, going back to that, what I'm saying is, if you are the first of your friends to have a baby, that is perfectly fine. Just know, and someone said this on Instagram the other day, and I really loved it. It was like, if you are the first friend to have a baby in your group, your baby shower and your pregnancy is going to be awesome because you are going to be like the center of attention. Everyone's so pumped for you. It's your first kid, blah, blah, blah. The first kid of the group. Your 4th trimester, aka the first 3 months postpartum, are going to be real lonely. And I say that with love, but I think until you have had a child, you don't understand what the first, people kept telling me like, oh, the first 3 months, like, and I was like, shut up, you're being so annoying. But I think the first 3 months for everyone is really difficult in different ways. For me, it was like, I had a lot of postpartum depression and anxiety. So I knew that there was a chance that was going to happen. I still did not understand how difficult it was going to be on me. And thankfully, I had girlfriends who'd already had kids who reached out to me. I didn't know that I needed to be reaching out to my friends and checking up on them until I had a kid. So if you have friends who are having kids and it's their first one and you haven't had a kid yet and you don't understand that, the first 3 months, like, reach out. You don't have to like make them go anywhere. Just be like, hey, you doing good? You want me to come over and hang out with you for a second? Or like, if you need to talk, just be there. Okay. All that going back. Will and I also made a big effort to travel. It was really scary in the beginning with a kid. I'm like, oh, okay, we have to bring like 1,000 things with us. But the more we did it, the more comfortable we got. Honestly, I wish we would have traveled more when Fritz was a baby because he was essentially like a potato. You could like take him wherever. He was, even when he was like crying, he was pretty quiet. Now that he's like walking it's like
now
a
it's
full
it's a puppy.
other beast of like
Yeah.
having to like control him and like,
Yeah.
not let him run wild. That is just one of those things you kind of have to get over. You just are like, okay, we're going to rip the Band-Aid off, do one trip. If you have the luxury of like having like traveling with your family or having somebody else there to like kind of support you, that's always helpful.
Mhm.
The first few times we traveled with Fritz, it was either with our family or to go see family. So that made it easier, but like rip the Band-Aid off and just do stuff. And then the other thing is like, take your kid with you to dinner or take your kid with you to like go run errands. The more that like you are out and about with them, it makes it, they adapt better and you adapt to like dealing with it. And then we know situations where like we're out in public and Fritz is not doing well. And we're like, okay, we're going to excuse ourselves now.
Mhm.
Just know your limits, but you don't know until you try. So you can't sit at home being like, I can't take this baby anywhere because he'll cry and people will be annoyed at that. Really, they won't. A lot of people don't care. I mean, you're not like at some 5-star steakhouse, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're out at a random restaurant and holding a baby, like no one's gonna be upset about that.
Nobody says boo. Especially, I feel like Austin's very baby tolerant place. Like everywhere you go, there's kids, there's puppies, there's dogs. Everybody's just that's how it works.
And then the last thing is also, and I've said this on different podcasts, like schedule time for you. So Will and I also made a point to be like, we both need to have time where we leave and like are not bothered by the other person who's taking care of the kid. For example, when Will goes and golfs, I'm like, okay, 6 hours like of me and Fritz, and I'm not going to bother him. I'm going to try to not be resentful when he gets home. But you have to like give the other person the opportunity to leave and don't do like a tit for tat situation where you're like
just about to ask, like, do you is there like a tally on that
no, and
system?
We have tried to be really cognizant of that, to be like, okay, I'm not going to like just schedule something because you went out and golfed. I'm not going to be like, okay, well, I'm doing this now because you did that. Just make time for yourself and do things you want to do with your friends, and don't be apologetic about it because the other person gets time to take care of the kid.
Mhm.
And the more you do it, the less it becomes like a big deal. So like it was really hard for me to leave. I felt like it was easier for Will to leave in the beginning because I was like, I have to be at home. I have to be breastfeeding. I have to be with Fritz. I have to do this. And the more I left, I was like, Will's absolutely fine by himself with Fritz. He does not need help. He's his dad. He can figure out how to change his diaper and give a bottle. He's not an idiot. He's actually a really amazing dad. He's totally doing fine. I don't need to check up on him. So the more I did that, the easier it got to leave. And same thing for Will. And then we just stopped asking each other for permission. We just put it on a calendar, being like, hey, on Tuesday, I'm going out with friends. You've got the baby. Or if you want to go somewhere, get a babysitter.
Yeah. Boom.
But it takes work.
Yeah. And I'm sure trial and error is always a part of that too. So work and a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
If you are going out with friends though, and need the babysitter, I got a product for you, Sally. You ever heard of Z-Biotics?
I have, and I have tried it.
Have you ever skipped a workout or something, maybe something important the next morning? Just you're not rolling in like you'd like to because you had a couple drinks the night before?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. If you're committed to your healthy routine this year though, you need Z-Biotics. We all have busy lives these days and can't afford to waste a day stuck on the couch because of some drinks the night before. Therefore, Z-Biotics is the answer we've all been looking for. Let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is, until I found Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic. That's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Sally, here's how it works. You're a science person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got some science for you.
Okay.
Ready? When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. You know what that byproduct is?
I know you're going to try to pronounce it.
Acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde.
That's close. I didn't know this, by the way. I did not know that it was the byproduct and not dehydration
Mhm.
that is to blame for feeling rough the next day.
Yeah.
I thought it was dehydration.
Well, how about this byproduct that's in your gut that is nasty and you don't react well to it?
Yeah.
ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut, where you need it the most. And just remember to drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly thereafter, and then get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. So the first time I tried ZBiotics was not this past weekend, but a weekend before, but I also did it this past weekend before I was at Barbecue Austin. And that's like basically a barbecue situation where $10 gets you all you can eat meat, all you can drink beer, kind of have a day. It's kind of like cook off in Houston.
Okay, so you drank it before.
I drank it before going to this.
Okay.
Got in, had myself a day. Didn't get too crazy, but just enough that I was like, okay, I would feel it the next morning. But ZBiotics was there for me. Woke up the next morning, went to hot yoga.
Wow, impressive.
Felt great. Felt absolutely great. So give ZBiotics a try. Go to zbiotics.com/mail and get 15% off your first order when you use mail at checkout. That's zbiotics.com/mail to get 15% off your first order when you use mail at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied, for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember, zbiotics.com/mail and use the code MAIL at checkout for 15% off. Thanks to ZBiotics for sponsoring this episode. Sally, you want to do number 2?
Yeah. My wife has a friend who has the same body shape as my wife. The friend dresses really cute. I'm not saying my wife doesn't dress well, but how do I nudge my wife in the direction of dressing more like her? I'm not attracted to this girl by any means, but she just has good style.
How do you nudge your significant other into dressing more like another girl, Sally? Yikes!
Okay. I totally, I get where this guy's coming from.
Yeah.
I think girls do this to men all the time. Like, if you think that your girlfriend hasn't ever tried to influence the way that you dress,
Randy's got a story.
This is a nudge. Girlfriends can just straight up say, "No, you're not wearing."
Yep.
Correct.
Dylan's wife threw out all his clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
So okay. So I think
Bit of a two-way street here.
Right. I think it's a little wrong for us to totally judge this guy for asking the question, because I know that girls do the same thing.
Okay.
Like I know better than to try to influence Will's style, but there are some things that he wears that I'm like, and honestly, I think as our relationship's gone on, I have like adapted to his personal style more. I think in the beginning of our relationship, I was like, oh, okay, you're wearing that. But like, I never have told him like, no, don't wear that.
Sure.
My mother literally dresses my father every day. Like, I don't think, I mean, besides, he wears scrubs, but like,
I was just saying, is there any leopard print involved?
No. When he has to like go to an event though, like my mom picks out his outfit.
Interesting.
I think this is pretty common for girls to do to men, right?
Yeah, I absolutely. I've been 1,000,000% on the receiving end of like, put this on, or you look great in this, or I bought this for you.
I don't know if it is as common now as it is like with our parents' generation. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like men now are like a lot more influenced to have their own personal style and take influence from other places. Whereas like, because of social media and things like that. Whereas like it's my dad.
Gray suit, blue suit, gray suit, blue suit.
Didn't know what to wear unless my mom was like setting it out on the bed for him. So I'm not saying this guy is wrong maybe it's just worded a little interestingly.
Right. I think there's like a kind of the approach part of it is like, hey, dress more like her and she's your friend. Like, I think that's a little bit of a, I don't know, not gray area is the wrong word, but I see how that can get dangerous.
Personal that I think, trying to change someone's style. And again, I say this as it can sound hypocritical coming from me. I've never tried to change Will's style. So, but like, I think, here's what I'm going to say. If your girlfriend, wife, is it his wife? Did I say wife? Yes.
His
if your wife
yes.
is like maybe wearing stuff that's not flattering for her, or she's like always kind of sloppy, or like always in workout clothes and her friends are always like done up. It's one thing to like be like, hey, like, do you want to go shopping? Like, maybe like encourage that for her, because maybe she feels like she needs to like dress down, or doesn't like take care of what she's wearing because she's, got a bunch of other shit going on, like being a mom, or maybe she feels like she doesn't want to spend money on clothes or whatever. I think that's okay to like put that out there, that you're like willing to let her spend money on clothes.
Sure. Yeah.
But I don't know if this is coming out right. I think that's okay to also like admire someone's personal style. I just think it's an interesting way to go about it, to be like, you should dress like Sarah.
Right. Like that's where I get hung up, is you should dress like your, but I the point is totally valid. Like,
Right.
hey, I think you would look awesome in this stuff, or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe is the approach to it. Or you just say like, hey, I found this Instagram. I think you'd really look good in this kind of style or stuff, or can I buy something for you? Or can I try something? Like, I've never tried this myself because of probably the stigma of like, hey, put this on, it would look great, sweetheart. But
Yeah.
I don't know how to approach
I don't know.
it.
It feels weird having a guy, and I know that's totally like hypocritical, but it feels weird having a guy be like towards a girl, be like, you should do this. Yeah. Although I have told Will all the time, I'm like, I feel like my style is very dependent on like what my mood is and things like that. But I am trying to cultivate more of a personal style, I guess. And Will like send me Instagrams to be like, you should follow this girl. Mostly because he knows that he knows probably what I'm going for, and knows that I'm like actively like seeking inspiration, etc. I think an option here is like, okay, say your wife's friend like always like looks really put together or something like that. There's just like one piece of her wardrobe that you're like, that looks great. Like, buy her that. Like, buy her the pair of jeans, or buy her a blazer, or whatever it is that like your wife's friend is like wearing so well. I think that's a less egregious way to go about it.
Yeah.
I think that's how women do it to men. Like, they like buy an item. They're like, you should wear these. Like, that's how we like undercut you. We're just like, hey, I got you some new shorts that don't have cargo pockets. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what women do to men. So you could reverse engineer that and do it yourself.
Yeah. As a guy, we're really getting into gender norms today. It's like, I would love if my girlfriend was like, you would look so good in this. I'd be like, you know what? You bet your ass I would. I'm going to put it on. And then if I say that to her, she's going to be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I'm just,
this is a tough one. Because I think, too, you also want to build up that person's confidence all the time. Like, I notice that I go fishing for compliments with Will when I like get dressed.
Okay.
And he hasn't like told me like, hey, you look really good. So I'm like, do I look okay? You didn't say anything to me yet. What do you think I look like? Does this look okay? Do I look pretty? Do I look fat?
I could see Will like on the couch just be like,
yeah,
you look great.
So I don't know. I mean, if she's having like a confidence issue, or, maybe like, I think that's where you can be like, hey, why don't we go shopping? Let's get some stuff that you feel great in. Like, let's get some new stuff that you're excited about. Yeah. Like, I want to treat you, and then go shopping with her and like put in the quality time.
And that's how you can start nudging a little bit. Like, hey,
but
like,
honestly,
can you at least try this on
with what she's doing?
Yeah.
Just because your preference is someone else, like, as long as she's not doing something totally egregious, and this is where, again, gender norms be damned, but like, I would never let Will walk out of the house in something that he like would totally make him look like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. I think if I was like wearing something that was just like totally obscene or didn't fit well, like that's where our relationship and any relationship where you like love and trust each other. Like if I buy a dress and I like try it on and like I already kind of know like, okay, this isn't the best fitting. And Will's like, I've liked other things better on you.
It's a good way to go. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
I'm like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of leave the pride at the door and you can't be like, okay, so you're saying I'm ugly. Like that's not what they're saying.
Uh-huh.
But, I think having your significant other be comfortable enough to tell you that is important.
Mm-hmm.
That role can also be played by your mother or sisters. And unless like a significant other has to be a little more tactful because your sister will just be like, I can see your love handles in that. It's not great. You know what I'm saying? Or like at least that's the relationship my sisters have. But Will will say like, I liked literally I'll like try on stuff and be like, I liked what you were putting on. I liked what you were wearing first. That was better to me.
I've had, I think that's the level I've gone to. I mean, like, I like number 1 better.
Yeah.
Or, I like number 3 better.
And then I'll be like, you don't like number 2? He's like, I just like number 1 better. Number 2 looks great. You still have to remain, like, keep the tact, but also encourage confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really do want your significant other to, like, start dressing a certain way, I think I think it's okay to like someone else's personal style and like try to influence that a little bit. But at the same time, you just want them to be confident and like happy in their own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know that they're not, then like help cultivate that. But if they're happy and like they are liking what they're wearing and not having an issue with it, as long as like you're comfortable being seen in public with them, great. I'm talking about like if your wife was like going out, like wearing a bikini top and like shorts that are way too small or whatever.
Some Daisy Dukes.
And like just you're like, I'm kind of uncomfortable like with how much you're showing or like, like, you know what I'm saying?
I'd gas her up and be like, let's go.
Like, I mean, I don't know.
Free drinks, babe.
Mostly with Will, like the only time I tell him like, you can't wear that is like if something's so old and has like armpit stains on it. I'm like, okay, we got to get rid of that shirt. Like that thing is old. We got to go. And honestly, he knows way before I do.
Yeah, I have a holy shirt. It's my mail-in shirt actually.
Yeah,
Randy. That's it's got holes like all in the arm,
and
it's kind of you could sort of mistake it for a style thing, but it's not. And I've been told on many occasions before, like, please throw that shirt away.
Yeah.
And just haven't done it. Well, but I do appreciate you being tolerant of my chinos and flip-flops movement. Thank you very much.
Yeah, flip-flops are a hard pass for me. And I'll tell Will that. Like, I mean, but Will also is not really huge into showing his toes.
He rocks Birkenstocks.
He does rock Birkenstocks, which I'm currently rocking Birkenstocks too. So
very nice. The last thing I'll say is I think we kind of touched on it, but my solution here would be, okay, let's go shopping. And will you try this on? Like, hey, can you try this? Like, I think this would be really good on you. This would look really cute. Can you try it on? Odds are she will say, okay, maybe I won't buy it. I don't love it, but I'm going to try it on and be like, oh my God, you look so great. So maybe that's how I would approach kind of nudging her on style.
And that's, like we said, exactly how women do it to men. Mm-hmm. So just copy that. But no one's going to be really in the right if you're like, hey, I actually hate your personal style.
Yeah,
but if
can you
start
dress
dressing like
Sarah?
Your friend? And obviously he's not going to do that, you know?
No, I think he knew. He didn't know how, like, the wording is tough of this. Like, how do I get my girlfriend to change her style a little bit? It's tough.
I'm sure a woman would call in and ask the exact same question. And
about it. Just be like, just tell him.
Yeah.
Just throw away his clothes.
You could do that.
Especially if you're married and now you're just stuck.
I would never throw away Will's clothes, though. We've, like, gone through stuff. We've cleaned out our closet, and I'm like, you don't even wear that anymore. But I've never like, I hate that. Get rid of it.
I'm due. I'm so due for
Me too.
Spring cleaning, Randy. My wife and I have an almost 2-year-old. Just Sally deFries. And another on the way in July. I don't know about that one. She works in healthcare Friday to Sunday, and I work Monday through Friday from home, Friday to watch the toddler. Okay. That sentence was confusing.
He works Monday through Friday from home to watch the kid.
And she works in healthcare on the weekends basis. Okay. In order to avoid daycare costs, we do not live close to family, so we do not have anyone to help us with a break from the work/parenting cycle. How do I approach my wife to begin the search for a babysitter? It's so hard to trust someone that isn't family with the most important thing in your life, but an occasional date night, round of golf, or spa day could really benefit our mental health. Thanks and love the pod. How do we get babysitters in the mix?
Okay. Kind of this goes back to the first question. The more you do it, the more comfortable you become, and you like get a roster of people that you trust and like.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard to leave your kid with somebody.
I feel like, especially if you haven't done it with like a mom or a dad or, in-law before, just to go like clean into a, not rando, but, clean into a babysitter that's unrelated to the families, I'm sure has to be very tough.
This is, again, a trial and error situation.
Hopefully not too many errors.
Yeah. So start low stakes. You could first of all, if you're trying, I think you say to the wife, like, we need to find a roster of babysitters so that we can like go out and do stuff and have some time together. That's really important to me for quality time for mom and dad. Mm-hmm. Then start low stakes. So first of all, find some babysitters. Bambino app is great. If you live in a college town, tapping into like a sorority network is great. I currently am on my old sorority's like listserv and get babysitters from there. Because all these girls are in college and have free time on random weekdays because they're in classes, etc. Mm-hmm. And then do it while you're at home. So mom's home Monday through Thursday, you're home on Friday, and just be like, hey, can you come over? And we really want you to come babysit for like 2 hours while the kid's awake. I'm going to run some errands. I'm going to be in and out of the house.
Gotcha. So like kind of a hybrid.
Yeah. And I mean, I think most babysitters are like understanding of that, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's 2023. We're not like leaving our kids with randoms, but especially things like college sororities, where they have some sort of accountability, or Bambino where they're background checks, mm-hmm. or word of mouth, like looking for babysitters with friends of yours or even, colleagues, etc. Like we, on our work email listserv, people like be like, hey, I need a babysitter Friday night. Does anybody have anybody reliable?
Yeah.
So that's a good way to find people that are hopefully responsible and like have some sort of like somebody else. I know on the Bambino app, people like review you, so you can see if they've gotten like good reviews, etc. Then do something low stakes, so you can be in and out of the house, so you can kind of like check and see how things are going. For me personally, I like my biggest struggle with leaving Fritz with new babysitters is not like me trusting them. It's like I feel bad because Fritz is going to be pissed because he's really in a mom stage right now where he's like, I need mommy all the time. And when he watches me leave, he loses his mind. Mm-hmm. But then he gets over it. And Will's like, you've got to let go of that. I think too, for first-time parents, that's harder. People who have like 2 kids don't give a shit. They're like, we're paying them and they're going to learn how to, they'll be fine. We're paying them a good amount of money per hour. They're there for 3 hours. They can figure it out for 3 hours. And if the kid cries the whole time, they cry the whole time. Like it is what it is. So start low stakes. And then as you find people you trust, then you can start like moving on to like a date night. Again, leave them at home with the kid while the kid's napping or already in bed so that they don't have to do anything. Start there. And then you can like work up to like, okay, now you're going to like, you've babysat for us a couple times. Now you get to do bedtime routine, which is like more of a involved thing than just coming over while your kid's already sleeping. And then also once you find people you like and trust, likely they have friends who, like one of our dog sitters who also is a babysitter now lives with 3 other girls. And she's like, oh, any of those girls are great. Mm-hmm. And now all of those girls have babysat for us. So you just have to like dip your toe in, do it slowly. If you have someone who babysits for you and you're like, they just didn't do it for me. You don't have any obligation to them to keep calling them.
No.
And just keep finding someone new. I mean, it feels scary, especially because it's your kid. But I have never we have had a ton of babysitters, a ton of dog sitters, and there are people that I like really loved, and there's people that I've been pretty mad about. We've never had a situation that was like, this is completely unacceptable and I'm not okay with it.
Right.
You know?
How did you as a mom first be like convinced, whether it was Will or like how did somebody say like, hey, Fritz is gonna be fine for 2 hours?
I think it took other moms telling me that.
Okay.
In the beginning, I was more anxious because I was like, I don't want Fritz to be bad and the babysitter to have a hard time.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And
It
one of my
was
friends,
less about like leaving him and more like, is
right?
he
I
gonna
was
be
like,
cool
what if
with
he's
the-
like kind of a jerk or like cries the whole time or whatever? And my girlfriend was like, you're paying them. That's their job. Like,
Right.
do you think that everyone who comes in and gets anesthesia from you is like, oh, what if I like don't do well under anesthesia? My anesthetist has to deal with that. Like, or like, do you get on a call and you're like, what if this like advertiser's kind of a dick? Like, what am I going to do? No, that's your job. You do your job.
Yeah.
So when you're paying somebody to do a job, like that is their job. Let them do their job. And I think that's really difficult for moms. Either you have the anxiety because you don't want to leave, or you have the anxiety because you don't want your kid to be bad.
Sure.
And obviously, this all comes with the caveat of like, you know your kid well. If your kids are like 8 and 10 and they're total dicks, then that's like on you. But like, if your kid misbehaves one time or gets upset or cries, like they're a kid, and anybody who's babysitting knows that comes with the territory.
It's not their first rodeo.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about it like that side of it. I just always thought it'd be like, oh, what if my kid like hits their head or draw,
We
there's
are
that
just
anxiety,
now,
but-
like our nanny babysits for us a lot, which is really nice because Fritz knows her so well. But we haven't really given other babysitters that don't like first few times the opportunity to like put him to bed.
Sure.
Because it's a lot. It's a lot to wrangle a toddler and get him into bed, and he's upset even with us. And I finally have like kind of let go of that. I'm like, they can figure out how to put him to bed. It's a 30-minute ordeal, and then they're going to literally sit on their butt for the rest of the time. They can do it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
You know what I could do? What I could go for right now, because I forgot this morning? My athletic greens, Sally.
I had mine this morning.
Did you really?
I'm feeling great.
There you go. Athletic Greens is a scoop of 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Oh my goodness. To help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of the things, like I said, morning routine. Not this morning. I totally just absolutely slipped my mind, probably because we had to get in here and do the mail-in podcast. But it's just been a part of my life for months now. And I feel better about myself each time I have athletic greens because I know I'm starting my day with something that is boosting my health. Right? It's like a routine. It's kind of like making your bed. You know what's in it. You know it's good for you, and you know you're starting your day like empty stomach with it. Just makes me feel like, okay, I got something going for me.
Check it off the
like
list.
a win to start the day.
Yeah.
I want to know before I walk out the door.
Yeah.
With athletic greens. Not today. I was 0-0.
But you still have time to add it in.
There's still time, and I'm doing yoga today again. So I at least have one win planned.
Yeah.
Sal, you're an athletic greens fan.
I am.
What would you say your favorite part is?
I honestly feel like when I take it consistently, I have said this in the past couple weeks, but multiple people have commented about how good my skin looks. I do feel like it's changing my skin and hair. But I also think when I take it, I have like less anxiety throughout the day. I feel like it evens me out a little bit.
Ooh,
I don't
okay.
know what, maybe it's the adaptogens in it. But when like first thing, take it on an empty stomach, drink that, and then I like follow it up with like a big, huge thing of water. And I automatically like just feel more like revved up to go for the day. More so than like what my old routine was, which was like chugging coffee on the way to work. And I still have like my morning coffee, but I do this and then I do water, and that's all usually on my drive to work. And I feel a lot better. I'm also more regular.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
For less than $3 a day, you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's also cheaper than the the different supplements that people get all over the place. They have 9 different bottles.
Yeah.
Well, this is just all in one. You're good to go. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, like we said, and it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. So here's the deal. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, plus 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/mailin. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/mailin to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Next one, Sal?
Yeah. Hey, Brett and Sally, I'll try to be tactical. I recently started seeing this girl for a few weeks and we hit it off great right off the bat. Everything has been happening so easily between us and we have so much in common as far as goals, morals, lifestyle, etc. She's incredibly successful and driven. She's pretty cute. Not someone I would go for right off the bat, but there are so many amazing things about her. It's all green flags either way. The problem is, within a week of us talking, one of my insanely attractive coworkers has been coming on to me. In person, she goes out of her way to sit next to me and chat, and eventually she kept a convo going on our work chat in the middle of the night, where she then proceeded to move it to the text and full send flirting.
Full send.
Full send. We kept the convo going, and she isn't afraid to send risky texts or pics at the gym.
Hey now.
To which I just brush off and give dry responses, but she won't chill out. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested, but things with girl A are too great to mess them up. Girl B from work is also younger, on the same client, but a different team, and seems very toxic, so all the reasons I wouldn't want to pursue her anyway. How do I abort and just friend zone her and continue working in close proximity without this girl escalating or blowing up on me? I'm sticking with girl A 100% right now because she's definitely what I want in person at this point in my life. Thanks. Love y'all. How does he friend zone his coworker?
For the friend zone, no, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
I think this is simple. Just make it official with girl A.
That was my answer as well, Randy.
Make it official, and then you have the I have a girlfriend. I have to stop this fun, flirty work thing.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think there's a chance though that toxic girl B blows up at him and is like, well, then why have you been letting me send you
absolutely there's a chance for that.
Yeah.
Which is that's why you got to cut it, nip this thing in the bud.
So I think this is like a slow play on her end and a fast play with the other girl. You make girl A your girlfriend. You literally stop responding to anything girl B sends you.
That's not work related.
If she sends you a gym pic, if she sends you a hey, thought of you, you got to immediately cut that off. Either don't respond or just respond with the ha, and just make it very known that there is nothing.
What's it called? Fizzling is kind of the word for it. You're not ghosting, but you're fizzling.
Yeah.
The responses get shorter, the questions get less frequent, and you kind of fizzle it.
Do not send any sort of flirty banner back. Don't ask her questions that aren't work related. And then once, I think, hopefully within a week or two, she gets the picture. But if she doesn't, then it becomes hey, I've got a girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there's one school of thought that's well, if he starts fizzling, she may double down. If that's
if she doubles down, I think you say I've just recently started seeing someone.
Yeah.
I really like you as a coworker.
Yeah. This is fun. This is great. I gotta reel this in a little bit.
She seems like she might be high on the hot crazy scale. The coworker.
I mean, your words, not mine, but.
Well, it just seems like he's she's hot. I obviously love getting attention from her, but I'm worried that she's gonna.
Do you think she knows that he has another option somehow and is ooh, now I have to?
No, probably not. Okay. I mean, unless they are hanging out a lot outside of work, but it's always fun when someone attractive is into you and you have some flirty banter going on.
Absolutely.
But you absolutely have to start it with cut off all communication that's not work related
and make it official with girl A.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer.
That's the safe play. And then I think
you want the non-safe play?
Well, no, but I'm saying, I think if
do I have one of those for you?
If it continues where she's, like you said, doubling down, I think at all costs, you kind of want to avoid the like, hey, I have a girlfriend, because that's just going to be embarrassing to girl B.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't want to embarrass her.
Like, don't embarrass her. Keep her ego intact. You don't need to like upfront be like, hey, like I have a girlfriend, because that's just going to feel kind of unsolicited on her end and be like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm just like laddie and full of banter on her end, you know? And she's like, I wasn't even like trying to pursue anything with you.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
just how I am
You're
with
like, wait,
everyone
she's
else.
like, wait, what?
So like the more you keep her ego intact, I think that's the tactful way to go about it.
I think that's right. Fizzle it out. Get professional with it.
Yeah.
Capiche?
Capiche.
Hey, y'all. I have an Am I the Asshole for you. So here we go. Randy, am I the asshole for cutting down my wedding list after already asking for addresses? Here's the situation. My parents are paying for our wedding, and we recently found out my mom has cancer. Finances have been tighter for them, and because of this, the initial budget we were given for the wedding is now smaller as well. My fiance and I are having a destination wedding and already had a smaller guest list, so we feel bad cutting it down even more, but we have to do what's best for us and with what we can afford. I just can't help feel like the bad guy since we initially asked for addresses, and now we have to have the hard convo with those people that we can no longer accommodate them. So, am I the asshole for this, Sally?
No.
Correct.
First of all, like you're even without the like, my mom has cancer, we can't afford this.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the asshole. Like we say this so often, but like weddings, if people get upset about weddings, they need to chill out.
Mm-hmm. Weddings have turned into a whole beast.
Yeah. If your friends can't understand that, especially like anybody who's close to you in your life probably knows the situation
mm-hmm.
and should absolutely understand like, hey, we've got to keep it small.
That's a perfect answer.
Yeah.
Like if they're not close enough to you to not know about the situation,
then like you probably don't need them at the wedding anyway.
Boom.
Obviously, Will and I did something pretty similar. We literally got addresses. We're sending out save the dates. Stopped sending the save the dates. Had a small wedding.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few people, one of whom is in this room right now.
I wasn't going to name names.
That didn't get invited to the wedding,
but I did get a
I'm
FaceTime.
Talking specifically about Randy.
Oh.
But it was like one of those things that was like, I think it was really easy line of demarcation of like Will's friends growing up, most of my college friends, and that was it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everyone who wasn't able to be there was an adult about it. And like, we had a great wedding. Would have loved to have done it with 200 people. Glad we did it with 45. And it is what it is. Everyone moved on. No one was like butthurt about it. It's a wedding.
And I got a FaceTime at 11:45.
And you did get a FaceTime at 11:45.
Which made my night.
But like, you know what I'm saying? I think even some of my girlfriends who I didn't invite are still like, so happy for you. Would love to take you to dinner, whatever.
Of course. Because
the people that you're close to are like, we're so happy for you. You got married. Not like, I can't believe this. And I have been there. I remember when I was like 22, my first friend was getting married and I was like, I cannot believe she didn't ask me to be in the wedding. Mm-hmm. And then as more time went on, I was like, I got older. I was like, oh my God, thank God they're not asking me to be in their wedding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Especially if it's like a cool like destination place.
Yeah.
The ideal, the sweet spot is like your significant others in the wedding and then you have a solo day to just rip it up.
I think it's important to remember that when people get upset about weddings and stuff, sometimes it's coming from a place of like they're young and immature and selfish.
Or maybe a little projection.
Yeah, or projection, and they are insecure and want to know that like they were invited. But also sometimes people genuinely just want to celebrate you and like show you that they love you. And those people, when they feel like that, are the ones who are not going to be upset and who will say like, so happy for y'all. Wish we were invited, but that's okay. Would love to like celebrate with y'all when you get back.
Of course. And if you do like, he said if you do want to have some sort of explanation, you don't owe them one, right? But if you do want to have some sort of boilerplate text that says, "Hey, mom's sick. We're going to do something smaller. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, but would love to again get dinner with you guys or do
Yeah.
something sort of adjacent to a wedding." And 100% of people are going to be like, "Oh my God, do not worry about it."
I think I have gotten flack for this, like saying on this show before, like people who don't understand that or like don't understand your life situation don't really deserve a spot going forward in your life. And maybe that's coming from a place of like age. I think the more that I get older, the more I'm like, if you're not here for me and like genuinely happy for me in the low moments, why do you deserve to be at the high moments?
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
of course.
And so I think saying like, if people can't understand where you are in that situation with your mom being sick and you need to tone down, and again, take the mom being sick out of it. If people
Yeah.
can't understand that you may need to tone it down for whatever reason that you choose, maybe they don't deserve to be there later on when you're having the happy times.
Yeah, and that's a perfectly succinct way to put it. Just no, you don't need a reason.
Yeah.
But if you are going to attend that destination wedding, perhaps it's in a different country.
Perhaps it's in Mexico.
Perhaps it's in Mexico. You might need to polish up on your Spanish there, Sally. How's your Spanish right now?
Es muy mal.
Not very good.
Yeah.
Not very good.
It's I know un poquito palabras en español. Couple words in español.
Una más cerveza, por favor,
There you go.
señorita. For most of us, learning a second language in high school or college was not exactly a high point in our academic careers. 4 years of French, Sally. Basically, I can point and shoot. Like, bleu, blanc, Randy.
Okay.
What? What's so funny about that?
You didn't even say words. You just went bleh, bleh.
Bleu,
Clearly the French is not going well.
blanc. This is white, blanc.
I think you could use
Rouge.
some babble.
I could use some Babbel. The language learning app that sold more than 10 million subscriptions. There's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language, whether you'll be traveling abroad, connecting in a deeper way with family, or you just have some free time. Babbel teaches bite-sized language lessons that you'll actually use in the real world. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go, and their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. You can choose from 14 different languages on Babbel, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps to improve your pronunciation and accent. There are so many ways to learn with Babbel. In addition to lessons, you can access podcasts, games, videos, stories, and even live classes. Plus, it comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee. I'm thinking about, not even thinking, like very much looking into doing a trip with one of my best friends growing up. Shouts to Dan. We're going to do Sweden for midsummer.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm going to dive into my Swedish journey.
Yeah.
So Babbel's got me covered on that. What would be your ideal language?
I mean, I do use it for Spanish brush up.
Oh, there you go.
All the time. But I do like, and I will use it when we went to Italy to like, I like the idea of trying to not be the asshole American who just assumes that everyone can speak English and like attempting to use their language. And a lot of times people will just automatically understand that you're American and like switch to English, but it's nice to put forth the effort.
Absolutely. So right now, get up to 55% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/mail. That is Babbel, BABBEL.com/mail for up to 55% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life. You got the last one, Sal?
Yeah. How do I get past the fear of rejection when it comes to sex in our marriage? Sorry for the long post. A little background. My wife and I have been together for 8 years, married for 5. We started with a great sex life. Over time, the frequency lessened, but I chalk that up to just what happens when you're in a long-term relationship. Before her, I never had a relationship that made it over 5 months and got out of the honeymoon phase, so getting turned down for sex was a foreign concept to me. At first, my wife would be apologetic if she turned me down, saying that she didn't feel good or was tired or we could do it tomorrow instead. That slowly became turning me down with no reasoning and no promise of sex tomorrow or anytime soon, which lasted for a couple of years. Of course, this eventually led to heated arguments which is strange because we have a fantastic life out of this one issue. We're well off financially, 2 kids. We're each other's best friends. I did some independent research and just decided to discuss the issue outside of the bedroom and just talk it over. She has been very receptive to improving our sex life, but is still depending on me to be the one to initiate intimacy. The problem with that is that I seem to have developed a fear of being rejected and talking myself out of initiating sex a good portion of the time to save myself that rejection. My question is, how do I get past my fear of rejection? Do I need to get some sort of therapy? And if I do, how exactly do I explain to my wife that I need therapy for some kind of trauma that has happened as a result of her actions, though she wasn't doing anything wrong? Okay.
Interesting one here.
So common to be in a relationship where the sex fizzles out. I mean, kudos to everyone who does not go through a lull.
Mm-hmm.
And kudos to the people who do. I don't know that I've ever heard of a relationship that hasn't gone through some sort of lull in
sex. I think
it's
basically 100% common.
Unless what this guy's saying, you're in like a few month relationship, you never hop out of the like want to have sex like rabbits phase. Mm-hmm. And then you just don't get to the point where you're like, we're comfortable with each other.
Sure.
That happens in every relationship. You get comfortable, you become better friends than you do lovers. And that's all phases in a relationship, especially in marriage. It sounds like they have already addressed this problem. I think his actual issue is like, we're going to work on it, but I still am the one initiating it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absolutely okay to seek therapy. I think it might even be better if you could go together.
Yeah.
Because maybe everyone is, the thing about sex in relationships is everyone's at a different point in their lives. So even if this guy's having the like fear of rejection, his wife may have something else going on. Like she may be at a point where she's like not feeling attractive or not feeling her best physically or stressed or whatever it is that's keeping her from initiating. Or maybe she lacks the confidence, or maybe she just doesn't feel like she needs to be the one initiating or doesn't understand what.
Like maybe his desire to have that.
Right.
Yeah. Or it's kind of like, oh, I'm comfortable with you being the one initiating. So I'm just going to kind of.
And every relationship always goes back to like communication and communicating that to your partner. But I don't think saying to her, like, I love that we're working on this. I'm happy. Like, I want to keep initiating with you. It gives me anxiety because I feel I'm scared of being turned down. Mm-hmm. And I think you initiating would help my confidence in that. You don't have to say like, you've traumatized me and now I have PTSD.
Yep. I would leave that out of it.
but like saying it in a tactful way of like, I am happy to keep initiating. It's every time I get turned down, it like adds to my anxiety surrounding it.
I think that is a very fair thing to kind of open up and be really honest about. Be like, I love you. I am so attracted to you, but I get so much anxiety over initiating because I don't know where it's going to go.
Right.
And like, that's okay. I need to be honest about that and see where it goes.
But I think saying that in front of a therapist who can kind of delve into those feelings of like, mm-hmm. why, and you answering in front of the therapist and your wife, why is it that I feel that way? Mm-hmm. Because I've been turned down before and it's starting to knock on my ego and all of those things helps. You can say that to your wife, but sometimes having a third party present who can really identify the issues is helpful. I just want this guy to know like he's not alone. Mm-hmm. I think every single relationship, marriage goes through this. When you add things into a marriage like kids or financial stress or moving or new job or whatever it is, that is always reflected in the sex life. And it's like almost a double-edged sword because then you stress about the lack of sex and then there's more pressure for the sex to happen and be good and be spontaneous and be like when you were 22 and just met. And unfortunately, it's not going to be that way. Mm-hmm. Like but that doesn't mean you can't have good sex in your relationship. But also, I think there's this whole drive of like, oh my God, we've got to get back to where we were when we were like humping like
Wednesday night, I promise. Like we're doing
Yeah.
like you don't want to plan, there's
that
just
just
like
makes it difficult. It's the same situation when you're like trying for kids or, you feel this pressure because your girlfriend told you that they have sex 4 times a week and you're like, oh shit, now we've got to do that. When you start like really start thinking about sex like that, then it's just added pressure. And that's why it's not like when you were 22 and just met, because when you were 22 and just met, you weren't like, we have to have sex all the time. You just were doing it because it was fun and you liked each other. And
very little responsibility outside of
right.
What kind of tequila you want in your margarita.
Exactly. But the more you add time and pressure and stressors to your life, the more that it becomes this whole pressure cooker situation. And then you feel, so it's just like a positive feedback circle where you're just getting more stressed and stressed and stressed. And it's important to like step back and take that pressure off and know that there are going to be ebbs and flows. Like there's probably going to be a time, I think it's women like reach their peak sexuality at 40.
Oh, really?
I think that that's true. I could be wrong, but I think that that's like usually when women usually peak later than men. Men are peaking like their whole lives, I guess. And there's probably going to be a point in their lives where like the kids are grown, they're like doing baller shit and they're just having sex all the time.
And then we
because the pressure's off.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's totally okay to be in this spot. And it's okay to be scared of rejection. But know that like the rejection is not personal. It's like your wife is probably going through shit that has nothing to do with you. She may literally just be exhausted. And even though that is it feels like a personal hit, it should never, like, if you love your partner, it's never like I don't want to have sex with you. It's like there are a lot of other things happening in my life that are more important than sex to me right now. Like sleeping or, like getting shit done, or my breath smells bad and I don't want to have morning sex, or whatever the excuse may be,
Yeah, absolutely.
But I get it. It's hard not to take that personally, because if you were 22 and someone didn't want to have sex with you, then you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, you know what I'm saying? And you take that personally. So why should it be different in your marriage? It shouldn't. But you also have to realize like you love and trust this person. They're not going to do anything to hurt you emotionally. So, or they shouldn't. So know that every time you're initiating, try to keep initiating, try to get over that fear, and know that when she's saying no, it's not because she's like, I'm not attracted to you. I don't like having sex with you. It's because it's not the highest thing on her priority list. But I don't think seeking therapy is a bad option either.
No, I think that's option number 1 for me.
Yeah.
And just now broaching that subject is like, hey, do you want to go to do we want to go to therapy? Not like as there's nothing wrong. There's just like, how do we let's explore this more.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's how you approach it. But delicate situation, and wishing you the best there.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for us today, Sally. Do we have any shower thoughts before we bounce?
All my thought is I had this cinnamon cream caramel cold brew, and I am like on another planet right now.
Like
I'm
wired?
Like, so wired.
Wow.
I think I need to go eat something. I'm like shaking.
Oh boy. Just you want to run back an hour, like hour number 2 of the mailing?
I know. Like I could, but we're at 68 minutes. We probably need to stop. Maybe I need to not have a cold brew before our next recording. I think I'm like, you can see me kind of shaking.
There we go. Let's ride.
On this high def camera.
Please subscribe, rate 5 stars, review, and tell a friend about the podcast. Hit the hotline number 888-362-MAIL. That's 888-362-6245. I promise I will get to the voicemails this week. Or you can write in at the link in the Twitter bio at MailInPodcast. Sally, where can the people find you?
Sally deFries on Instagram and Twitter.
I am Brett Merriman at Schmerriman on both of those platforms, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.